Recently, I was trying to beat Outward as Merton the Skeleton, and I found out about a really hidden mechanic. A mechanic so hidden, in fact, that apparently the devs themselves didn't know about it for the longest time. This new way to combat enemies changes everything, and while more effective with the shield equipped, it can be used with every single melee weapon in the game. Today we explore the extremely hidden mechanic that I call block poking. So what the heck is block poking? Well, it turns out if you press the attack button and the block button at exactly the same time, you can both block and attack. Yes, this allows you to simultaneously block and attack, making combat much easier. Specifically against enemies like bandits who tend to block a lot. You can now bait their attacks out with a swing and stay in complete safety at the same time. One problem though, this mechanic is incredibly unreliable with normal keybinds. Pressing both buttons I found to be very difficult. Instead, you want to keep the keybinds as is, but add an additional button map to the attack and block buttons, using the secondary input section. So now you can block and attack like always, nothing changed, same buttons, all good. But when you press, say, your mouse's side button, which is what I set it to, you'll block and attack simultaneously. You do have to hold the button for this to work since blocking requires it to be held down. But yep, this can open up so many more attack opportunities for you. From what I can tell, this is clearly a bug, a non-intended mechanic that shouldn't really be possible. However, sometimes that's not necessarily a bad thing. Especially in this case, it makes combat feel more free and somewhat personalized, because implementing this strategy into your gameplay can shake it up a lot. Specifically, it makes bandits or really fast enemies in the early game much less of a headache. And in the late game, it gives you a chance to battle stronger opponents you might not have prepared well for. Just to be very clear, this strategy does work on every single melee weapon, but might not always be super optimal. Most of the two-handers don't get enough range on this attack to hit very well. You may need to experiment a bit and see which one works best for you. Both normal and heavy attacks can be bound for this to work, and you can even combo out of it, which is great when enemies are about to stagger. For years, the game has been out, and we never knew about this. Not only does this lead to more combat options, but it fixes quite a few problems you might run into. The main one being that early on enemies are way too quick for you to attack and not take damage. Mainly bandits and hyenas, things like that. Well, now you can defeat enemies with no trouble at all. The strategy I've found best is to get a lot of stamina and a lot of stagger resist. Weapons with a lot of stagger on themselves can impact pretty quickly, or you could use weapons that inflict statuses. So, fang weapons for bleed, horror weapons for poison, or obsidian weapons for burn. These let you quickly apply a status and then turtle behind your block to wait them out. You can also greatly boost this by wearing heavier armor for more stagger resist, allowing you to block longer and against more powerful attacks. And listen, man, it doesn't look like much, but combat will never be the same for you again. You can move into any fight now with much more aggression and confidence. Yes, it works on controller as well. I did test it there, and yeah, that's about it. This is a major game changer that you will never know about without actually being told. Specifically with a shield and mace, it seems to easily deal with single targets. Effective against groups too if you're careful enough about positioning. I don't really make many guides for Outward 1 anymore because I've done most of what was needed. Now I stick to challenge runs with some fun builds, but this had to be put out there somehow. If you're an Outward player, it gives you a lot more cool moments in combat. And more importantly, if you're new to Outward, it could easily get you past the learning curve much more quickly. I'm honestly kinda speechless. Who knew it would take Outward 2 releasing soon for us to break open Outward's combat after all these years? I sure didn't. Anyway, that's about it, guys. Hope you find some use for this trick. I've been having quite a bit of fun with it. Okay, thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.